And now, Jabroni Studios, in association with Big Herm Productions, is proud to present to you, recording from an undisclosed location in Oakdale, Connecticut, it's Chris Burns, it's Chris Lynch, this is Dysfunction Junction.
We got 7 days of bullshit to throw in a 5-pound bag. And that's a good thing because our producer / co-host is 5% smaller this week. And we'll get into that in our quick hits and a whole lot more. Grab your favorite beverage, tip it to the sky. Somebody's watching, and I want to say congratulations to him in just a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if your parents are letting you watch this, they are no parents of mine. Welcome to Dysfunction Junction.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
My name's Chris Burns. With me, as always, the co-host with the utmost and the possum king himself,
Chris Lynch.
And, of course, the producer extraordinaire, the man with no hair, the man who was 5% smaller this week than he was last week. It is not so big Herm, Michael P.S. Herman.
Oh, that's overall. That's 5% overall.
Oh, no shit. Wow. Soon you'll be
overall.
Now, do we change your nickname as you go along? Like there'll be like value size Herm, then there's family size Herm, and then
it'll be like lean. It'll be like lean cuisine Herm.
Someday we'll get to like fun.
It'll be like when I'm outside and I'm using the smoker, they call me Sizzling.
Oh my God. And watching with us, and I can see his name pop up, I want to give a huge shout out. One day early. I've not been allowed to say anything for a couple of weeks, but I knew it was coming. Congratulations to frequent Speedway Review contributor TJ Peters, who unfortunately got let go from Legacy Motor Club and now is the proud employee of Joe Gibbs Racing. Congratulations, TJ. We couldn't be more happy for you. And we'll make the special announcement tomorrow night. I don't know which car he's going to be working with, but I believe he's going to be on the Xfinity program. And Joe Gibbs is banging on the Xfinity program right now.
I was going to say, so he's not dealing with Asiago head.
No,
Asiago.
He's not dealing
with Jones.
He's not dealing with the Parmesan Prince.
The Parmesan Prince, baby.
The cheddar head himself, Ty Gibbs.
I'm a friend of Formaggio.
Oh, no, his head is just very heads come in like 4 or 5 shapes to be categorized in. And his is definitely what's considered a triangle shape. It's narrow on the bottom. Then it looks like a wedge of Parmigiano Reggiano. I'm saying.
Yo, pizza face.
Yeah, for real.
I call him sausage pizza head.
I call him cheese head.
Yep. TJ says he's going to come on the show tomorrow. That's awesome. We'll talk a little about.
Nice.
Oh, even better. For those of you who do check out the Speedway Review, I will burn down the house right after news and notes. So be ready for that. I got a good one this week. And thank you. First of all, thank you, TJ, for tuning into this show, and congratulations on your new job. Herm, before we get into quick hits, and then Lynch and I got some things to talk about, and he's got some Am I the Assholes this week. Your weight loss program, obviously going well, 5% smaller overall.
Yes.
That's a good thing. Now, when you left here, you had already lost a bunch of weight, and I'm guessing you put a bunch of it back on in Colorado?
I put a little bit back since I've come back to Colorado. Not crazy. But an amount that's bothering me. So that's pretty much what it is. I feel fat. And I felt fat, and that was my issue. So,
okay,
yeah, the way you moved, the way you like got up
just
and out of your chair.
Those were tight. Chef coats were not feeling the same. So yeah, and I'm sure it's. I was working 90 hours a week, sleeping 2 hours every 4 days, moving thousands of pounds of meat through a smoker all week. You know what I mean? So my lifestyle and work has changed a little. So my exercise and level and whatnot has changed. I have 3 days off a week, and I don't have to mow a lawn. I pay somebody to do all that shit now. Yeah, just things have changed and I put on some weight. So yeah, I want to lose some weight. So last time I went from like 370 down to like 280, 290 was about when I left.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna do another drastic and go from 330. I'm shooting for 240,
Nice.
which is like I haven't been 240 since I was in 7th grade.
I was gonna say you've always carried yourself, and I'm not saying this to be rude. You've
I
always
said
been
that
a
the other day. They're
stockier
like, "What'd you
dude.
start out with?" And I'm like, "I'm 330," and they're like, "Wow, you carry it pretty well."
Yeah,
Thank you. It's because I'm big to begin with, like big.
yeah. You're a
So
sturdy dude.
I carry a good amount of weight. If I can carry it, but yeah, just time, just time. I'm gonna go try and go drastic, see where a journey to 240 takes me.
Well, I'm gonna share with you what went through my head when you said how much you were the other day in the group chat. I'm like, no fucking way, because I don't know some people's body shape and just like your proportions, you carry it
Well,
really well.
nobody guessed I was 375 when I did it the last time. When I started last time, everybody was like,
I mean,
"What? Like 375, bro?"
Yeah. Not at all, Big John Stud. Keep going.
You
Yeah.
know, like
when I was at my heaviest at almost 265 pounds, it was all in one spot. Like,
Yeah, I feel like the run to the litter. My highest was 240. I'm
that's
currently
my
hovering
goal.
around.
That's my goal weight now.
I'm currently hovering around 215, and I'm happy. Lynch is hovering around at about 104.
172 last time.
Yeah, I mean, last time I went
suck.
from 375 to 280, 285. So
Yeah, but the beautiful part about that and being around you as long as I have, it was gradual. It wasn't like, you went on this crash diet. So to me, nothing changed, but
no,
it did
I mean,
change. You could tell.
it did technically, according to weight loss, it is like the fact that I'm 16 and a half pounds down in 2 weeks. Like I know that that's just how my body works. It loses weight fast.
Well, you see, it's like that show that used to be on The Biggest Loser.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger guys in that 330 through 3 and
I
up
thought
range,
about it years ago. I thought about going on that show and gaining a bunch of weight just to go on that show because I know how my body does. Literally,
Well,
I was like, I've lost 5% in 2 weeks. That's a month. That's a month.
And most guys who are bigger and they change their diet drastically, they will burn off pounds really, really fast at the beginning. They'll drop 16, 20 in a week. Now, Herm's not busting his ass and like doing all that fucking calisthenics.
I'm not doing anything extra.
He's not doing the exercise.
Well, the only thing I've done is I bought some bands and I'm doing some light because my drastic. I'm maximizing my calorie with nutritionally on this diet. So any food that's technically low calorie, my bread is expensive. I'm buying Dave's Killer bread. Nutritionally, it's like some of the best bread on the planet. I'm eating quinoa instead of rice, Greek yogurt, lots of berries, lots of greens and salads and vegetables, things that keep me full. And I'm throwing some stuff in there, like I've made allowances. Like I'm a mayonnaise fan, but I'm dealing with mustard. But I grew up with Miracle Whip, so my dad liked it. Dad grew up poor, and Miracle Whip was poor people's mayonnaise. So I which is funny because we weren't poor, but we just had it in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm thinking about it, thinking back, but so I can get a little something on a sandwich that's kind of mayonnaise-y. There's just options. Like I for the first time in my fucking life, I bought almond milk.
Fag.
And I took away your man card.
Yeah, it's I'm all right with that. Like it's like being on this diet is kind of like going to prison. Like nobody's gonna give you a hassle about what you had to do to get through prison. And we know you probably did some horrible fucking things.
You may have sucked a dick or two. We don't know.
You know what I mean? But you got to get through it. You got to survive. But once you get back on the outside, things have to go back to normal. So I'm in that prison mode right now. But yeah, like I'm not like I made it. I even told Jen, I was like, look, this is not a milk substitute. I am not substituting drinking a glass of milk for this. I'm
No.
using it for a berry Greek yogurt smoothie so that the fluid I'm adding instead of water for 30 calories has nutritional value in it. And that's literally all it is. I'm
Right.
maximizing the liquid the nutritional value of the shake for its calorie content and reducing calorie content. But like if I on a cheat day want cookies and fucking milk, we're cracking open that skim and we're going on it, you know.
Fuck it.
But I just
But
want to
yeah,
go on record. Yeah.
But like I feel pretty good. Nutritionally, I'm probably eating better than I ever have in my life. Well, this diet always does. Nutritionally, I'm eating turkey, I'm eating chicken, I'm eating lean ham. That
It's all good food.
Of vegetables.
It's all good food, and it's very similar to what Megan does when she is following her diet.
Greek yogurt's really high in protein.
Our fridge is always full of Greek yogurt of some sort, berries, fruits and vegetables, like strawberries, blueberries, maybe some.
Yeah, we got I got fresh strawberries in the drawer, and then I got a bag of frozen raspberries. I got a big bag of triple berry blend.
And then the home food delivery we get weekly, you can tailor that to any diet you want. It can be vegan, it can be Atkins, it can be Noom, like what you're on. And she just picks a very, very salad oriented with protein mixed in there a little bit.
Yeah.
Meal kits, and they're fucking phenomenal.
I can't do those. I want to. I really, really want to. I think it's cool for people that can't cook, but I tried them. They bother me.
You guys are both two of my oldest friends. Go ahead, please.
And I will admit that it's the best I've had from those services. I've had a bunch of them, and this is the best because it's local. Everything they source for you is sourced local to you. And the turnaround time is they don't box it until like the night before, so everything's fresh. The meat I get out of those kits is phenomenal for a prepackaged, pre-portioned cut of meat. It's really, really good. It's good flavor. You don't need to season the shit out of it. Just a little salt and pepper, and it tastes amazing.
You guys are two of my oldest friends, and since we are kids of the 80s and we just don't particularly give a fuck, I'm going to say this now, Herm, you're a fag. And Lynch, you're a super fag for having that shit delivered, all that fag food to your house.
I can't do the delivery thing.
It's lovely.
I have a problem when Walmart does it. Even when Walmart we have the thing and Walmart will deliver free for us because of the membership. But like there's certain things I refuse to buy through Walmart. Like I'm afraid to buy produce because I can't touch it and pick it out. I won't allow anybody else to pick out meat. Jen's not even allowed to pick out meat. She doesn't know what she's
clearly she married you.
She's not even, it's true. But for real, she's not allowed. She doesn't pick out meat. She knows better. It just there's certain things I can have delivered, but then they're out of it. It doesn't come. And I can't want anybody to send me like food. I can't.
Unless it comes in a box, Herm wants to be there, and I'm the same way. We were talking about it pre-show with like my fruits that I buy, the grapefruits, the apples, things like that. I want to physically look at them. I want them to be all around the same size. Herm wants everything symmetrical, and
you'll never see me buy a bag of oranges or a bag of apples or a bag of pears. That will never fucking happen. I select every fucking thing I eat, every produce like that way.
Good on you.
It's just
that way. If they go bad in 2 days, it's your own fucking fault.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I will literally be very nice and soft and move an apple and move around and pick the ones that tell me that talk to me and tell me they're right. And that's
they talk
like my mother. It's like my mother with the slot machines, dude. You're the right one. I can just feel it. Like I put my no, this one right here, this one. It's just produce that I just have to pick it out. I have to touch it, look it. There's things. Like even picking out a watermelon, there's like 5 to 6 criteria I have for a watermelon before I'll even consider it.
You're fags, both of you. I'm just saying it. I'm throwing it out there. I can say what I want. It's our show. You're fags, both of you.
That's all right. That's all right. Chef Fag,
And,
baby, what's up?
We got a lot to talk about this week. And the first thing, my quick hit this week that I want to bring up, and it may escalate to something bigger, but outside of you two and a few select other human beings on this planet, I'm done talking about politics with people.
You can't.
Everything
really
is
can't.
so fucking divisive to the point where two different people this week, and you guys all know, we each know where each other sits. And I was talking to one person, and I said something derogatory about Donald Trump. You know, the comment I said was, I would love to hear Donald Trump's, platform, but he won't answer a direct question. If you ask him a question, he's going to tell you 30 things that he's awesome.
He won't.
And
He won't.
He just doesn't answer a fucking question. And you stupid liberal. Oh, I'm like, no,
That's all that and that, but not to interrupt.
There's more.
But
There's more.
To stop. But before you go even further, but that's it, and that's their response. Their response isn't
Intelligent conversation,
educated, or anything reasonable with logic. It's immediate. It's immediately again, like the far left.
Emotion.
It's an immediate emotional response. It's anger, and anger, as we all know, is literally most of the time it relates to fear. And,
absolutely.
And I'm not afraid of nothing. I know you're not, but
you're afraid of something, though.
Science has proven how this all connects in our heads, and fear is the unknown, and anger is usually reaction to fear. That's your fight response, not flight.
I'm gonna throw this out here because it bears mentioning because of the reactions were similar but different. Being called a liberal and this and that, I'm like, you don't know me. You don't know shit about me. We're just having this conversation. You brought it up. I made a derogatory comment about Trump not being able to answer a direct question. He can speak. His brain is still active. He can still talk, but he doesn't answer the direct question. Donald, what'd you have for lunch today? I own 4 restaurants. They're the best restaurants on earth.
Just say a fucking sandwich. That's all we're asking.
Bingo.
That's the thing. But you can't. But the whole fucking place is that way. You can't critique anybody else in your own party. Nobody will, for either fear or fear of them losing their job, or fear of losing Donald's favor, or whatever the fuck it is.
If you're a politician, yes, they're all afraid of losing his favor. And I'll get to that in a minute, because I bought 2 books today, and they're diametrically opposed to each other. But as you guys know, if I read a book that's right-leaning, I'm going out and I'm going to get a book that's left-leaning, put them together, and make my own decision, because I don't give a fuck what Joe Scarborough or CNN or Fox News has to tell me. I'm gonna make my own decision. I'm gonna educate myself. So I made a derogatory comment about Kamala Harris, about her word salad. The woman speaks in circles. If she doesn't have a teleprompter, within 37 seconds, she's a bucket of suck. This person told me I was stupid and threatened to punch me in the face. And this person was actually, hold on, but this person was actually a very good friend of mine and still is to this day. However, because I said something derogatory that has fact behind it, whenever she gives an interview that she doesn't have to look down the pipe of a camera, she's word salad.
Yeah,
she's like that even when she does have a script. I post.
Guys, not everybody is great in every aspect of their job, and that's what people,
correct.
All right, and now see, this is the type of thing, like when I sympathize with that type of behavior, I will have been called I'm a liberal. Do you know that?
No, you're left-leaning, but you're centrist like me.
I lean to the left on a couple of issues. That's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, I lean more to the left on a couple of issues, and I lean to some issues more to the right. And that's literally just how it is. But you can't say anything and legitimately be a thinking person and critique any candidate without being accused of being whatever the other party is.
Yep.
That isn't what you're critiquing.
it's funny.
Go ahead, please, Lynch. Please.
It's funny that this is what you're discussing. I did something similar about Kamala Harris. They're praising the way she speaks. So I found a meme where it's one of her typical word salads.
I remember the one you shared. Yeah.
It doesn't say anything, but other than the one you saw, I posted it elsewhere, and this woman like lashed out at me that I'm a fucking racist on this, on that. This was my response. I said, you can call me anything you want. However, I challenge you. Tell me what that means. The woman said it. Tell me what it means. And the response, well, you can read, can't you? I said, I can. Can you? Can you read those words and give me a fucking thought as to what she just said? What is the object, the pronouns, the prepositions of that fucking statement? What does it represent? She couldn't answer me. Well, it's like isn't a thought.
Yeah. The people that do that and the people that do that and try to clap back at you are the kind that didn't read the book and have to write the book report. And they'll write it based on what's on the first flap on the inside, and then they read the quotes from people on the back, and they get 500 words out of it.
I'm not going to deny that. I did that in school for most of the books we had to read because they were horse shit, and I didn't want to read them.
Of course.
I was reading better literature.
Sure,
but
same here.
My whole point, and I said my whole point in this little exercise is for you to just learn and realize you don't know what you're talking about either. You don't know what the message is. You're just going to chirp because everybody else is chirping. I'm not a racist. I am the furthest thing from a racist on the fucking planet Earth. I don't care she's brown.
I spent 7 hours in a car and 3 days in a hotel with the blackest black man that's ever blacked in June, but I'm a racist.
Well, you see, when you say something like that, everybody's got a token friend. No, I'm friends with who I'm friends with.
He's an awesome friend. He's a friend.
And as far as Kamala Harris goes, I can't trust somebody that I can't get. I don't know what she's saying. I don't understand what she's saying. It's not me just picking on her because she's brown and a woman.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what color she is. I don't give a shit that she's a woman. I don't give a shit about anything.
It could be my version of the world's perfect human, and I would still say, what the fuck?
The one test that I give to these people, and it's funny because they're different results, but they're similar results. I asked the hardcore Trumpers, I'm like, name 5 things that Trump did good during his presidency. Leave the economy out of it, because the economy was slamming up until the end when COVID ruined everything. And I'm going to be honest about it. The economy was slamming. Name 5 things that Trump did right during his presidency. They just say he's awesome. That's it. They say he's awesome. Ask a Biden supporter or now a Harris supporter 5 things that they did good. All they want to do is shit on Trump. It's fucking futile to talk to people who don't want to engage in not only civil discourse, but intelligent conversation. And I believe, Lynch, you stood up for me, I don't know how many weeks ago on the show. It's like, if you ever see Chris's book collection, you'd never say he was not educated in politics. I've got more books on politics than I do enjoyable shit. Well, but for every Ron DeSantis book I've read, he's only got one, but for every right-leaning book, Republican-based book I've read, I read a left-leaning book with the same eyes and the same mind that I read White Guilt. I read The Case Against Socialism. When I read Ben Shapiro's Bullies book, I go and I read The Diversity Delusion. They're all written by scholars and graduates and lawyers and professors. These aren't books written by Alex Jones.
No, these are
written by Bill O'Reilly. These are written by smart fucking people.
Right. And I agree with you with it is futile to just even try to engage in that conversation. And I'm of the same mindset because I've been watching a lot of Charlie Kirk lately. because upcoming through the election, he posed these questions on college campuses.
Yeah.
And the thing that he always says, every episode I've ever seen, he said, "This is why democracy is dead, because we won't talk. Don't shut down the talk. Don't try to silence me because you don't agree with me."
And
That's
no matter what his
fascism.
right, and no matter what his subject is, I learned this from my grandfather, and sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. But when you're trying to have an intellectual discussion, the person who yells or swears first loses. And he will sit there and say, explain your position. I don't have to effing explain nothing to you. You're a racist and a bigot and a homophobe. Okay, you've already lost, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. Dude never loses his cool. Never. No.
And he always says that he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a fascist because I let you talk, and I'm here to engage people in conversation." Another guy that I watch occasionally is the abolitionists. They're against abortion completely. It's a sin. Blah blah blah. Okay, but that gives me perspective from that side of that issue. And the more and more I listen to it, it kind of like it hits you in the kind of the moral feels, and you see where you really truly align yourself on the scope of one way or the other on an issue like that. So I believe what I believe. I'm listening to what this guy believes. It's opening my mind a little bit. So don't be afraid to listen to somebody who opposes what you think.
You might learn something.
Engage in conversation. Keep the conversation going, because he's absolutely right. Democracy dies when we won't talk about the problem.
Right. And I'm not a Trump guy, never have been a Trump guy. Somebody lent me a copy of Donald Trump Jr.'s book, and I blew through it in 2 days. And he's not praising his dad. He's saying, the current government, the way it's set up, is so divisive that each side wants to, like you just said, each side wants to shut each other down, and we're never going to get anywhere. This is not Donald Trump comb over Jones with the power tie. This is DJT Jr. saying, look, what are we going to do?
And I give a lot of kudos to DJT Jr. He's got a lot of his dad's good qualities, and he's much better at what his dad has for bad qualities. If you get my drift,
I do.
He's looking through the prism of what are the optics on my dad. I don't want to do that, because he has career in he has a fucking career in politics in any office in his future.
He did an interview not long ago with the Young Turks, which is very left leaning, and I listened. It's one of the podcasts I like. It balances out the
Young
Matt
Turks
Walsh.
is awesome.
Yeah, Young Turks and Pod Save America on this side, Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh on this side. Everybody balances out. I put it all in a blender, and I come out with my opinion.
Right.
And DJT went on the Young Turks, enemy territory, and that hour and a half was some of the most eye-opening stuff. He lacks his dad's bluster. He's not braggadocious. He speaks. The best part, he answers a fucking direct question.
Right, and he's very, very well versed, and he's very verbose. He's verbose.
Absolutely,
he's a very good public speaker, and he's easy to get to like.
True.
But you noticed that during his presidency, his dad's presidency, he kept a pretty goddamn low profile, and then he disappeared into the weeds for 4 years.
Yep.
So
I don't know. I'll have to look.
Keep an eye open. Keep an eye on him. Watch any interview that you can with Donald J. Trump Jr. Watch any interview you can, and you'll see what I'm saying.
Don Jr. is fantastic, and if there's one thing other than the fact that he's not, when they ask him a question, he actually answers it, which his dad cannot do.
Right.
And you said he's easily likable, but to me, his intelligence shines through.
That too.
They were asking him, they were grilling him about the Dobbs decision and the overturn of Roe versus Wade. And he basically says, wow, as a law student, I can tell you that the way they did it in 1972 was completely unconstitutional against it. So what the Supreme Court did was give it back to the states, which is they should have done, because every state is self-governing, and this and that and the third. And they went through it, and these guys were like, "No, that's not really." He goes, "Oh, here, let me use my phone real quick." No, there it is, right there. And they're like, "Oh, well, we still don't like it." They were on their heels,
but they at least they had that like 5 seconds to go. Oh shit!
That moment of clarity, which everybody needs, because I know Herm and I over the last 30 plus years have had discussions where we both think we're right, and one of us will bring up that little factoid that pushes you to the edge, and you go, "Oh, I didn't know that. Maybe you're right," and we move along.
Right.
It's beautiful.
And I see you posting the Colchester thread.
Yeah, I was gonna thank you for inviting me into that fucking horror show,
dude. I read it strictly for the entertainment. If anybody who's local to Colchester, Connecticut, give a click and like on the Facebook.
All Things Colchester.
All Things Colchester, or
but
anything Colchester, anything Colchester related, because you think fucking backwoods Georgia hillbillies have drama. This is basically that those people up north.
Before we move on to the Olympics and the two athletes, well, one athlete and one seizure patient that we want to talk about, did you see the one recently where they ran with the rumor that in Hillbilly Elegy, a book I've read, they said that J.D. Vance admitted to doing sexual things to a couch? Did you see what I posted to that one lady?
No,
I said I will come to your house. I will bring you the book. You read the book. You highlight where it says that. I'll give you $100. Sight unseen. I don't care if you can find that passage where I didn't. I'll give you $100. Crickets.
Yeah,
nothing.
Of course.
More people nowadays would rather be fed from Fox News or MSNBC or any of the major legacy media outlets than they are trying to feed themselves with actual books or people. I like Charlie Kirk, but who's the guy? The Democrat guy, Brian Stelter.
Yeah,
he may be a Democrat, but he's straight. He's a straight shooter. I would rather listen to Brian Stelter than Joe Scarborough 5 days a week, twice on Sundays.
Oh God,
I'm gonna take Saturday off.
He's very cool and collected, and he doesn't get emotional about the subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot like Charlie Kirk. He doesn't get angry. He keeps his cool. He's like, I'm doing this with love.
One thing that I want to mention before we move on to the Olympics is, and
yeah,
I'm going to make a short video later this week, and I'm hoping, Lynch, that you share it out. In fact, I'm going to beg you to share it out. Is that when this is over, it's not about being Republican. It's not about being Democrat. It's not about my guy is better than your guy or my girl is better than your one or my VP candidate served in Afghanistan while yours only served in Italy or any number of bullshit that the mud slinging is going on. It has to stop. Right. I'm an American. Okay. Everybody on this panel is American. Everybody I know in my personal life is American. How about we start there instead of towing a line? Wouldn't that be nice?
I'll put America first, not last.
I find it funny, and this is where I'll close. Democrats lose their mind over the expression, because I know where it's gone and the life it's taken on. Make America great again. But by the same token, they're okay with people yelling death to America. By the same token, the right is okay with the Proud Boys and Project 2025, but they're not okay with what's happening on the far left. It's got to stop.
It's not.
I can't do it alone.
It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse in between each election cycle.
I'm going to tell you this.
5 years.
I'm going to tell you this straight up. You guys know I'm still a big Michael Knowles fan. I've lost some faith in him when he openly said on his show today's Tuesday, Friday. So on Friday, openly said, I'm a fan of Project 2025. I think the Heritage Foundation is great. I'm like, dude, nothing like trying to walk our country back 100 years. Thanks. Much appreciated.
I haven't watched it yet.
I'll have to find out. I'll find out which episode.
Walking back 100 years concepts aren't that foreign to the right.
No, they're not.
That's the whole point, is that going back there ain't no big deal. But going back there ain't no big deal is a problem when, if you look at a book about what happened back there, kind of was a big deal.
Yeah. That's the problem. That's why I have anybody who says they're a supporter of Project 2025. I don't like it.
With anything with a systematic plan to take a majority of the government over in a specific way, that's nothing I think anybody should want to be a part of.
No.
In any way, shape, or form. Because if everybody with guns decided that we wanted to do the same thing, everybody be fucked.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that the government is because we too busy fighting each other instead of getting together and going to get what the fuck we want.
Bingo.
Right.
And look, I know that film came out several months ago, but if you haven't had a chance to see Civil War, see what happens when the disenfranchised rise up in a modern setting. Yes, it's a fictional film, but what will happen when the disenfranchised rise up?
Not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty.
We've seen it in spurts. Ferguson, Charlottesville, Minneapolis. But that's in spurts. We have not seen it. Some will say January 6th. I tend to disagree with that to an extent. However, what happened on January 6th was fucked up and entirely wrong. It's happened in spurts. If it happens on a large scale, how many of these soft-handed children of privilege are going to survive it? None.
Well, I was watching to that point, watching the Whatever podcast clip.
I love that guy.
Andrew, the guy with the beard, Andrew,
mm-hmm.
who usually phones in, but he was in studio with a panel of youngish girls between 18 and say 30, and they were trying to argue the point: if all men ceased to exist today, that females would not be able to survive and thrive.
1,000% correct.
They were all counterpointing that.
Not at first.
Not at first. No.
It'll take time. It would take time, because once the resources and the infrastructure start to collapse on itself, that's when, and that was Andrew's point. He says, do you want to go up on 1,000 feet in the air and walk this tightrope to change a light bulb? Women,
yeah, no, I mean, in such a case, you'd have to have some sort of forced trades.
Yeah,
and in order to make just stuff survive, you've got women working in these fields now. All right, just not a majority. All right, so you'd have some ability for infrastructure and people who kind of know what the fuck's going on, but you're going to need time to teach people.
Right.
You've also gonna have to have a larger labor force.
Right.
Just
and that was their
pound, strength for strength, moving pound, horsepower to horsepower. You're gonna have to have 2 women for every man just on strength.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's one flaw. There's one.
With what evolution has dealt with. We've dealt with getting tasks and being stronger for a reason, and there's evolutionary shit that they're gonna have to work around to deal with.
There's one giant flaw in their argument, and I want to go watch this clip. If you can link me to this later, Lynch, I'd love to watch it. But if they say to eradicate all men, women would survive and thrive, ladies, once the semen surplus runs out, where the guys have squirted into a cup and you can no longer impregnate yourself, how do you expect to replenish the population?
Well, at this point, to be honest, you've got sperm banks all over the place.
That's what I'm saying. But that will run out someday.
But that's all it's going to take. is that a mass seeding will produce enough, because you didn't say males are eradicated forever. They're just booms.
Okay.
We're Thanosing males are gone. So
Okay.
technically, if you can reseed and start a population in 18 to 20 years, you start a very small, and there it is. Now, you don't know where it's going, but I'm going based on everything's gone and we're starting from scratch. Because even when Thanos did it, the 50% of all the life forms on Earth continued to breed from there going forward.
Right.
So there's your snap of the finger. In 20 years, we've got males entering the workforce. Now, those poor bastards are going to have to, they're going to be like slaves. They'll be treated like little demigods. And I'm not saying this out of ego, but there's an amount of work that a male is going to be able to get done at that point that females haven't been able to. Because we're not talking long enough for big change, like biometrically, and women develop massive amounts of testosterone. That would take several thousand years for that to happen.
A couple million.
You know what I mean? Even for small changes to happen, like just increase muscle mass here or there. I'm not talking anything drastic, but it would take several thousand years just for minute changes to happen. But if we're talking about it's gone, I figured in 100 years you're back on track. Okay. And males just get prized. Males become like they do in China, because males there's all the females, but we need all the males to breed. So you would have to protect the males only for that reason, for population increase, to produce more males.
All right. We'll table this for another day. I'm sure we'll have another deep political conversation with three intelligent men and nobody threatening violence. Speaking of violence, and I only mean this in a seizure sort of way, did anyone send Australia the memo about what breakdancing is?
No, apparently they didn't tell the Olympics either. Period.
Well, that's period. That's I'm not sure how this all went down. What's your governing body for your sport? Okay. First of
the
all,
International Breakdancing Federation and seizures.
You know what I mean? Every track and field sport is just under the International Track and Field Association. But
it's the ICBM.
But where does that fall under? Like, what does it? I would say what was the other one? The competitive dancing, shit like that's got to go. But we'll get to that.
The ribbon dance gimmick.
No, there's other dancing. That's in the gymnastics thing. But there's actually like competitive dancing. Like, look it up. Google it.
No, I've heard people go to dance competitions. Yeah,
but it's not ballet, but it's competitive dance. Like, stop. First of all, who's the governing body on the breaking event?
I'd like to think Rerun and Turbo could be great if Rerun was alive.
I mean, now I understand the girls. I don't know what happened, but basically she saw what she had been was going to be going up against, and basically she was like she basically Italianed it. She was like the Italian girl in the boxing. This girl couldn't take a punch either. She went up and saw what the competition was doing and was like, "There's no way I can beat that." And then so she just kind of ad-libbed, and it was horrible. I don't know.
But let me throw a twist at you, Herm. Her husband was her coach, and his breakdance routines were almost exactly the same.
Oh, dear God.
I found out that twist this afternoon. So that shit was deliberate.
You know,
so you want to embarrass yourself on the world stage. Fantastic.
I'm more displeased. I'm more displeased with the way the whole event went down, and the way it was done, and I'm just very, very disappointed. To be honest, I'm extremely.
As someone who never, completely honest, Herm will tell you this. As a kid, I was as far away from breakdancing as you could get. I I don't know the ins and the outs. I watched kids in Norwich, Taffel, Groton, New London do their breakdancing, break out the big ass piece of cardboard and just light shit up, and it was so fun to watch. To see what the Olympics offered us was kind of like if you were going to have Olympic baseball and you threw the Norwich Little League out there.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
So
this could have been great 40 years ago. I think they should replace breakdancing with international MMA.
It could have been great this time. All right, listen. The whole thing with you're watching dancing, right? And the problem is that they had music fading in and out. You couldn't understand it. You couldn't hear. Maybe you could hear a hi-hat. You couldn't hear any part of the bottom end. Look, you're watching.
Oh, the low end was terrible.
You're all right. So at no point did anybody like try it and realize that maybe we need like a feed in of the music, like underneath the voices of the people, so that they can hear us, but legitimately hear the music that people are moving the choreography style to on stage. So at points it looks like people just having a fucking seizure because I didn't hear anything
out of context with no music. You're like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Right. All right, and the other thing with like the guys coming in on the microphones like it was a street fest.
What?
Listen, there were two things
on the preliminaries, on the qualifications. It was done like a street fest. Like it was horrible. Horrible.
I was like dying inside for those people. I was sitting on my couch, like, because I watched it after the fact. On Peacock.
It was the worst production value show of the entire Olympics.
Well, I have an answer to that after Lynch is done.
I got really happy when the opening day ceremonies on that Sunday, CBS Sunday morning featured a thing about the breakdancing, and following a couple of the American guys. And I was like, man, good. It was just like old school, and all the stuff he was doing was old school moves.
I laid in bed and watched for about 15 minutes. It was like, this is complete shit. And I got 15, 20 minutes into the women's prelim while Jen was getting ready for bed and, lotions and potions. And I was like, nah, it was gone and off before she came to bed. I was like, nah, this is fucking trash.
Yeah. We watched a bit of it at work.
They still didn't explain how the fuck it was quantified for scores and what.
I watched it. We watched a bit of it at work, and one of the young ladies there was like, "These people are terrible." I'm like, what can make this better? It goes back to Herm's point. One, the music needs to be filtered in, and I said this to her. I'm like, you can't hear the music. Do what WWE does. They have the.
Oh, how did you watch people dance on what is it? Dance Fever. Hello.
Here we go, and that goes to my point. Yes, you had the music in-house, but you also had it filtered through the soundboard into the truck.
Into the production board. So
that it was. So when you watch WWE or if you watch UFC, which I'll get to UFC after we talk about the Diddler. He's a Batman reference. Leave it alone. They pipe the music not only into the arena, but they feed it through the soundboard into the production truck, and it's piped to you. So what you hear is the cleanest sound of that music. So when Chuck Liddell walks to the octagon,
you don't hear it picked up by a mic off a camera or off of somebody holding their stick. It's a feed. It's the same way that when I was doing a wedding, when we were doing all announcements and shit, I would let photographers line into my board so that they could record it, so that afterwards they could match video to clean sound and fade it and bring levels how they want. Same way like when I cut and do videos for the shows, same thing. I add a clip, and that's all it was doing. It's all it would have to do is somebody needed to fucking plug into the soundboard somewhere.
Right. And nice. You can go into baseball with that too, and I'll explain why in a minute. If Chuck Liddell's walking to the octagon back in the day, or in today's day and age, you have I got to think of somebody because I don't know, Randy Orton. He seems to be pretty popular after 20 years. You hear their music on your TV as if you're sitting in the arena. In baseball, it doesn't happen often, but the Yes Network, the Yankees Entertainment Sports Network, would do that with Mariano Rivera. Everybody's got their walk up to the to the plate and swing the bat, and now batting Derek Jeter. And the music is kind of soft. But when Mariano Rivera got called into the ninth,
right, he got a feed in.
That Enter Sandman came through your television so clear. It was amazing. Do it that way. The second thing, if you're going to do breakdancing, take your regular Olympic commentators off. Get somebody exciting. Again, to point back to WWE, get Michael Cole and Pat McAfee to call breakdancing, or somebody similar that'll get excited.
I'd love to see somebody,
the star.
Get somebody from the community. People from the community should be your commentators. You know what I mean? Like,
it has to be exciting.
You get the same way, like when they do skating, they have Tara Lipinski and somebody else.
If you go to Fenway Park back in the day, and I'm not picking on the deceased, God bless his soul, Jerry Remy. If I go to Fenway Park to watch a ball game, I'm having a good time. If I watched a Red Sox game back in the day with Don Orsillo and Jerry Remy, I'm asleep in 15 minutes. They're the most boring human beings on earth. Bring some excitement to the broadcast. And whoever's in the Red Sox booth now, I'm not a fan of the Red Sox, but I'll check them out every now and again, is exciting. You have to paint the picture for me. Yes, I'm seeing the picture, but add the little extras that we all need and love. It goes the same for boxing. MMA, I think if breakdancing is an Olympic sport, why not have international MMA at the Olympics?
Right.
Well, again, it's a sanctioning body.
Well, if you can get
I don't have a problem with MMA at the Olympics.
Bellator.
I'm fine with that. You'd have to have a sanctioning body.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is that like when people lose their mind, like, when are we going to have racing at the Olympics?
It's impossible. And I laid that out to a guy not too long ago.
It's not just impossible. Well, first of all, because every venue would have to make a motor speedway for when they came in.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, racing is not a correct sport for that. You see, everything that happens in the Olympics either happens through human power or gravity and human power. That's it. It's a human that draws a bow. It's a human that steadies the gun for the shot and lines it up. It's a human that pushes the pedals on the bike. It's a human that uses the machine called skates to go fast on ice. A human does not make the power in a NASCAR. So unless they plan on strapping just the bodies to their shoulders and running around a fucking racetrack, that's what I'm saying. Unless they plan on, Flintstoning it with like go-kart cars, then bodies. It's not. It's about human power.
Yeah. And that was kind of what I explained to this kid. It was on Duke's feed. Chris, what do you think about auto racing in the Olympics? I'm like, it's impossible. It's a motor sport. It is not. Yes, the drivers can be considered athletes. They do things that none of us could potentially do ever in our lives.
Right, but like, unlike on a bike, you're powering it and you're doing all the same avoidance and driving that a NASCAR driver is, but your motherfucking legs are making it move.
But stock car racing, here's where I'm going with this. Stock car racing is North American, United States, Mexico, Canada. There are a few stock cars around the world, but then you have supercars. You have the rally cars where SVG came from.
Right.
You have
racing is commonplace, but there's not one form that's universal to every country.
Right. You know, Baja racing.
The way any person in a country can run from here to there as fast as they can.
Right. Because I dare say if I put, and I'm just pulling his name out of a hat because he won this week, if you put Austin Dillon in his number 3 Chevrolet up against Elio Castroneves in his car, Castroneves is going to whip your ass because that car goes 100 miles an hour faster than yours.
Right. It could stop. Right. And stops faster and accelerates faster. So you're done.
So that's out the window. Thank you for bringing that up.
Motorcycle. It just doesn't work.
I think the break to kind of kill this off, because I know Lynch wanted to talk about the Diddler, and for good reason. I think the experiment at its heart for breakdancing was pure. I think the execution was piss poor. And I think they have to rethink their position on this.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that I was excited to see how they were going to bring it to the Olympics and give it some legitimacy.
Yeah.
I feel that none of that happened. That bitch from Australia did not help. I'm sorry. And the people in the community can say they support her, but that's how artists are. Even when somebody's work sucks, I support him, But no, it's your first show out on the big stage, and she delegitimizes the whole thing by doing that shit. So,
yeah, she pissed in your own pond. You pissed in your
right,
own pond.
you're pissed in your own plate, and I'm glad they brought it in. I wanted to see how they were going to execute it. It was executed poorly, and it's not on the list for 2028. So I'm
Good.
happy to take a shit.
Fuck it.
Same.
International MMA in the Olympics. Book it now. So Lynch, you wanted to talk about the diddler? I'm angry as shit about this, but I want to hear your commentary.
I think it's the fact that there was no talk about the diddler, and it was all about everything else.
So, one of the Dutch beach volleyball players, when he was 19 years old, got in a plane and flew to England from the Netherlands to have sex multiple times with a 12-year-old girl. 19, 12.
Did we before we go any further, did we check what the laws were of the countries? Because that's the first thing that I figured you did. I'm going to ask. So what were the laws involving such, given that it was not America?
Okay. He is from the Netherlands. She is from England. He was convicted in England.
And it happened in England, right?
The infraction happened in England.
Okay.
Charged with rape. Sentenced to 4 years. And he was released after a year on a condition where the Netherlands and England have a difference of opinion on the level of the crime. In the Netherlands, it's just called fornication. With no sexual,
really loose on the sex crimes there. Bad.
With no implication of it as a sexual assault. So under that exchange they have, this agreement they have for their extradition, he was released after a year. And during his sentencing, the judge said, "You just ended what you could potentially be your career for the rest of your life." And karma struck him in a positive way. He was let out back on the Olympic team. And the only reason it got out that he was even there was someone asked the question. And had that not been brought up, it would never have been a media piece.
I just found this.
And that disturbs me more than anything else that happened at the Olympics. Now,
Dutch. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He is upset that they said something. They being whoever discovered it. I believe it was someone from the Olympic Committee, whatever that fucking thing organization is called.
Mm-hmm.
And had they not disclosed that, I think that would have been a huge, huge, huge disservice to the young people over there in France. Now, he was sleeping off outside of the Olympic Village, had 3 men escort him everywhere he went. And that was an agreement that the Olympics wanted.
We're not going to let him go anywhere unsupervised.
Exactly. Now, when I first heard this story, I didn't hear that piece of the story. So my opinion still is, I think it's fucking ridiculous that they allow a rapist.
Well, I guess
that raped a 12-year-old.
Does that mean there's no allowance for crime within the Olympics? Like Oscar Pistorius could just jump right back in if he wanted to. I know he's not, but is that what that means?
If they hadn't banned him for life,
I mean, Snoop Dogg killed that motherfucker, and he's repping the Olympics. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, let's not forget the boys and girls. Snoop Dogg, he may be Grandpa Snoop now, but he wasn't.
before he was America's ghetto grandpa, all right. We was committing felonies while he was singing songs about committing felonies. That's how that went. I mean, basically, aren't we all just like hood parents trying to raise nice suburban kids now, breaking that cycle and shit?
Let me read this to you. Let me read this to you real quick. I found his name, Steven Van de Velde, and I want to read the blurb from what episode number is this? It doesn't say. February 20th,
Steven
episode 340 something. So it's in the 340s. February 20th was the drop date in 2023. Crime and sports. This week, we delve into something completely different by discussing a Dutch beach volleyball player who is accomplishing a very infamous feat by getting an episode of this show before his 30th birthday. Based on that, you know he did something horrible, and you're right. He absolutely did. He has everything a person could want, but that's not enough for him. And he also has to insist on being one of the worst people that you can be. Does this take his career away? Not at all. People will still play with him, invite him to tournaments, and governing bodies will still allow him to compete like it never happened. So be from a place that's famous for eating the livers of a couple of prominent citizens, be 6'6", able to spike a volleyball, and make everybody sick by flying to England and committing statutory rape of a 14-year-old. Welcome, Steve Van de Velde. That's the blurb.
12. Yeah, she was 12.
Was she 12?
12.
Okay, because I remember original report said she was 14.
She was 12.
And he was 19.
Oh, something that I saw something about it 12, and then it wasn't reported till she was 13.
Okay, correct. That might be it.
But it happened when she was 13, almost 14, but it happened it was reported when late in her 13th year. It would happen when she was 12.
Okay.
Right. That's why she was 12 when it happened.
Okay.
So
look, see, I didn't get mad. Fuck you, racist. No. You're an ist and a phobe.
Yeah, so I'm curious as to what level the Olympic Committee is allowable for criminal offenses, I guess.
I'm guessing the answer is they don't care.
I guess not.
Well, let me just throw a little
what do you got?
Little bullet at the end of that. Because the Netherlands don't see that as bad as a crime, they're going to make a big deal out of it. And when questioned by the Olympic Committee what the severity of that crime is in their country, and they say, "Hey, slap on the wrist,
little to nothing."
Okay,
it's
bring them on in.
Like everywhere else, it's a felony, but there it's a misdemeanor.
Bring them on in. Okay, if that's how it works, that's how it works. We don't know. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm guessing.
Right.
But still, why weren't we talking about that when we found out after all the other horse shit that happened about with the opening ceremony? Is he a he or she in the boxing?
Right. We're getting nasty at a female with a genetic condition, a genetic condition that is a female. And an Italian boxer who really, if you actually watched her, she's horrible. If you've watched any of the matches she got to get there, she's horrible. She's horrible. Bad. Yeah, we're giving, and we're not really making a big deal about the diddler. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, they want to bury that. It's all about inclusion, I guess, now with the Olympics. So that was, even if that person was a trans person, whatever, I'm going to include everybody, and they're not going to have a problem with it because it's done under the guise of inclusion.
Well, it was this year only because it was this year only because yes, they are but there was no actual policy this year, but the Olympic Committee was more concerned with the fraud and the stuff going on behind. They were aware that they were very non-inclusive and kind of almost they would be considered a phobic organization,
Right.
with their testing, but the main issue was there was a lot of fraud and stuff going on, and bad shit money wise and organizationally behind their scenes. That
Right. It was a bad scene.
yes,
I get it, but it's still
and to answer your post on no boxing on 2028. It's not as big a deal as people are making it out to be. There is no governing body, so it doesn't go on the list. The problem is that if they put it on the list, there's no governing body. So you have to put it on the list and then either take it off, but they're just going to not put it on the list. They're going to find and choose a sanctioning body, and then sometime early next year they'll put an amendment in and it'll be added back onto the list of Olympic sports. It's not like boxing is gone forever. There's no sponsor right now, so we don't know whose rule book we're using for the players to play.
Right.
As soon as we figure out whose rule book to play with, we'll make it an official sport again. It's hard.
Like trying to play American baseball game on a cricket wicket. Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Yeah, it's trying to. Yeah. How do you convert this game? Right.
That's why baseball isn't in the Olympics and in host countries that don't have baseball. Paris doesn't have baseball. They are not a baseball country.
Right.
When it comes back to the States, absolutely. 2028 will have baseball.
That's what
and squash. Squash is back in 2028.
Right. That's what the Pan American Games are for. That is what the Can-Am Games are for.
Right. And those are great games to watch.
Absolutely. Those are like Olympic
because
style.
Those guys really don't give a shit. They just do, fuck it, let's go. I'll rip off this fucking trick I've never done before. Okay, let's go. Crazy. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So are you ready?
For?
I thought you had some Am I the Assholes to round us out tonight.
Yeah. Oh,
let's do this.
Getting this up, man. I got to rub it a little bit.
Whoa.
Do that on your own time, bro.
This is a family show.
Well, kind
of.
A dysfunctional family, but still.
True.
Oh, this one's way too many words.
He picked the wordy ones.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. Well, it reads differently on a computer than it does on your phone. You know what I'm saying? Oh, here. This is a good one. Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to get a job? I love my girlfriend, and we both come from families with a little bit of money. I'm starting to get ahead in life a little bit and need to start thinking harder about what she offers. I'm having trouble figuring out what, in fact, she does offer. I do not want a relationship to be supported entirely by me before we have kids. She needs to help with my weaknesses, but also negate my attributes. My family loves her, and her family loves me, but she currently stays home all day and has no job. I buy her coffee and do the nail stuff all the time. Every time she does them at home and take care of food, I take care of food often, which I see as a problem / don't see as a problem. I'm on the fence with where I draw the line. Is she just be lazy or not want a job? I've reached a point in my life where I just want to make sure I found somebody who is beneficial to my life. Am I the asshole for expecting my girlfriend or my fiance to get a job? There's very little context in this one.
I have so much to say.
There's a lot of questions here.
Well, I picked this one because it lacks a lot of context, but it points out it's because that's a good moral question. There's a lot of things you need to know, backstory, context. You can have two versions of this story where he's an asshole or he's not an asshole. So it kind of gives you, I thought it was a great question to just kind of riff on. morally, what would be your standpoint, and how would you even get this scenario underway?
Well, I guess for me, I don't hear him saying my house is a mess. There's nothing to eat. So I don't know to what level she is doing the stay at home thing.
Right.
So that right there affects how I'm answering the question. Is she running a really tight ship and still nothing's good and still not doing it and not and it's home all day, or is she running a tight ship for you and is I guess the guy's got to ask, is she his piece? Like, I don't know. What there's a way to ask her. I don't think there's a yes. I think it's a yes and a no either way.
Right, because lacking that context, you don't know. Entering into the relationship, that's something you want to get right from Jump Street.
I don't know what right. How long have we been
together? How are we doing this?
Right. I don't know what the expectations were, or how they were laid out.
Is mine, and yours, or are we mixing this shit up? If you're mixing this shit up, I mean, if that was agreed upon and then she failed, yeah, you're not an asshole because that was the agreement when you entered the relationship. But if you never made that agreement and you just haven't really said anything and you seem okay with it, she's going to run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen people in these relationships.
If you haven't set a boundary, then yeah, you are the asshole because you haven't set a boundary and you're expecting her to know there's one.
You can't read your mind, bro.
Can't do that. You got to communicate. The fuck. I mean, he hasn't say, I hear him saying, she said, I ain't getting no job type shit. You know what I mean? So I don't hear that coming from him as a complaint. I think he needs to talk to his woman, and I don't think that, I think the question more is not whether you're an asshole, sir, but whether you're going to do what you need to do for your relationship, or you're just going to let it turn into some spiteful shit that you hate.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of guys will do that.
I'm going to go ahead, please.
A lot of guys will do that. They'll stay to just a shitty situation. It's kind of okay just because. I mean, it happens. But then there's guys that are like, fuck this, I'm out.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm sorry.
These were are my expectations. So you're not meeting them. I'm not supporting your ass.
I got to use the restroom, but I'm going to make my answer quick. This is missing a lot of context. There's not a lot of story in there other than, hey, I asked my woman to get a job, yada, yada, yada. I didn't hear anything that would sway me one way or the other. So I'm going to be the person I hate the most. I'm going to be Facebook fact checker. Missing context. I need to know more. And until I know more, maybe the first time in Dysfunction Junction, am I the asshole history, I abstain from answering.
Yeah, it's kind of really hard to lay blame on anybody without enough information. I totally agree.
No, that's true. Oh, Chris had to go pee. Yeah. But yeah, I got maybe another one, and we can just bullshit for a little while. Do we have anything on the calendar, like guest-wise, in the end of this month?
Nothing.
Okay. Got to start coming up with some ideas. Who can we have on? Who's available? Who wants to promote something?
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. So is it 1,000 degrees out in Colorado today there, Herm?
No, it's kind of monsoony today. It got up to like 88 degrees, and now it's kind of like there's some storms rolling through. We got a little rain. I'll check my lawn tracker in a minute and see how much rain got in.
There you go. I'm pissed about how my lawn came out this year, having it serviced by by the True Green. It's just not.
Is it True Green?
Oh, the natural guys, not True Green.
American Lawn?
Yeah, your buddy.
Really?
Lawn. Yeah.
Their shit usually looks awesome.
Yeah, my neighbors are doing good. I know in the backyard, I think I have either gophers or moles. So I understand those little brown stripes, but there's spots that they allegedly treat. I just ain't. They look better last year with no fertilizer on it. But maybe it could have been just a weird way the fucking soil turned out after the weird winter we had.
Dude, not to sound like an old man talking about the fucking lawn, but the Scots program that I did this year, where they use an aerial photo and you mark off your lawn, and it uses that photo to determine the square footage of your grass,
Mm-hmm.
and then they mail you the correct amount for your lawn. All right, so it just comes. I prepaid. It was like $260. They ask what kind of grass you have, what problems do you have, is it watertight, all kinds of shit, and then they send you custom bags for your shit. So they send it in the spring, then they send it again in the spring, they send it in the summer, they send it again in the summer, they send it in the fall, then they send one which is coming at the end of this month is the fall one, weeded feed, and then they send one at the end of October for the winter.
Winterize.
And all I do is put it in the spreader and set it on whatever they tell me to, and fucking put it on. Done.
All right, I'm guessing I didn't miss anything.
No, we waited patiently.
All right, thank you.
We were kind of riffing. We don't have anything on the calendar for the next couple months for guests, so come up with some ideas.
Of
we
course,
want to invite on.
We'll brainstorm.
We'll bash it out in the chat.
Of course. You got another "Am I the Asshole" or?
Let me see. Earmarked a couple of them.
Well, aren't you special?
Yeah, I know. Reddit's a great place, but man, it's like a big rabbit hole.
What was the one? The one Reddit? I'd love to grab a couple of these and do them on the show. The not resentful. They're remorseful parents.
Yes.
They're sorry they ever had kids. These fucking twats. Well, I can't do all the things I want to do.
That's part of not like that, but that's part of the grief that goes with being a parent. Is and that's the deal you make the day they're born.
Bingo.
Unfortunately, like, look, if you haven't said, if you're not a parent and you haven't said fuck these kids at least once, I don't trust your ass.
Oh no, that's completely different, because
you know what I mean. But I'm remorseful every day with the shit that goes on with my kids to a degree. Like they are a lifetime achievement award with no award. You have to achieve it over the lifetime. Yes, there's like, man, if I never had these kids, I could have done a lot of shit. But we got shit to do.
Yeah, I understand that, because there were times when when Emma was here a lot more often, I'd have her 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, yada yada yada, and I'd get the call, "Hey man, I got these great concert tickets. You want to go?" "No, my kid's here." I did not blink an eye. But there'd be like, how good, I wish I could have gone to that show, but I'm not going to give up time with my kid. I'm that dad. I'm still, to this day, I'm still up her ass about, what are you doing? How you doing? What's the last book you read? What are you listening to now? Dad, shut the fuck up.
Well, see, here's something we can talk about: parenting.
Yeah.
Because I have friends that parent their kids differently. But just an overall, just like observation that I've noticed in like Big Y, Walmart, Kroger, wherever the fuck you get your groceries. There's what I call the hive family, and then there's just the average Joe. The swarm, the hive, it's the families, it's the mother and father, the parents. Then the kids show up with their grandkids, and every weekend they do this. It's helicopter parenting.
No,
Now, I'm only using this family as an example because I know them very well. I worked beside one of these people for 20 years.
Right, but that
Great.
might be the experience you're closest and most familiar with. But
Wait.
to make a blanket statement's a little, I don't know.
They go on vacations together. They go grocery shopping together. There isn't a time in the day when these kids like were going to school where the mom didn't know where and what they were doing and would just like bombard them with texts. It's that helicopter, the hovering.
Yeah, but that's
over everything you do.
Yeah, but that's different behavior than just being a close family, though. That's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
They don't necessarily go hand in hand.
On the surface, they look like, just a close family. But then when you start cutting through the layers, you see just how fucking wacko it is. I couldn't do that to my kid. If my mother and my dad were to bombard me with, what are you doing? Where are you? How are you doing? What's going on? Why are you, why'd you buy this? Leave me the fuck alone. And number two, let the kid learn on their own. If they need help, they will probably ask you for help. I don't know. It's just maybe my mindset, but knowing people like that actually operate like that, how much is too much? Is that, to me, that's over the top. And I don't see you guys being that type of parent. You're more of the rough and tumble, let's say. The kid will figure it out.
To an extent. I mean, you obviously
shouldn't do that. You're not going to let the kid do something that's going to kill him. But
right,
when you say I wouldn't do that if I were you, and they go ahead and do that, and they're like, you were right.
Yeah, I'm more of that parent rather than and he can disagree with me if he likes, but I've been around him. I'm more the you may not want to do that. Herm is fuck you no. Having said that, I'm going to let her make her mistakes. But at the end, I'm like, all right, what'd you learn? And it has nothing to do with I should have listened to Dad. What did you learn? What did this negative experience teach you? Now, next time, you're not going to do the stupid thing, even though I told you 4 times not to do the stupid thing.
It's just
I would rather be interested in her development, her growth, and what she's reading and what she's listening to, and who she's not so much who she's hanging around with, but the quality of her time.
Right.
I didn't waste my time on shit people. I at certain points in my life I did, but look, I've got in the middle square, I got Paul Lind with a beard, who I've known for 26 years. In the left-hand corner, I've got a guy I've known since Lincoln was in office, and I surround myself with good people. They come and they go. They're good for a while. Then maybe they lose focus. I never lose focus. I don't jettison people out of my life. I'd rather keep quality people than piss away quality people. That to me, that's what I am with Emma. But I don't need to know every moment, every detail, every waking minute like the modern day parent does. I took my grandparents, my parents, my friends' parents. I adopted some of the things from every parent that I ever knew, including Herm's parents, and I put them into a jar and I shook it up and came up with Chris the parent. The one thing I'm not going to do is delusion. Is if my daughter had a delusion, is feed into that delusion.
Right.
I'm going to keep her on the straight and narrow. You're going to make your own decisions, but at the end of the day, you have to answer for those decisions.
Well, my point is that being that type of parent, you're doing your kid a disservice for not preparing him for the real world. You're not always going to be there to catch them when they fall. Sometimes you have to fall all on your own. Get up, brush yourself off, and move forward, and don't fall down again for the same reason. I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't. They weren't. No, I had my own time. They had their time, and I think this speaks a lot to the current generations of kids in their late 20s and early 30s now, who have that the phobias and the anxieties and can't do this in public or that in fucking public because they weren't allowed to fucking breathe in public. They didn't have their own fucking oxygen space for 6 feet around them. It's always the parents hovering over them, doing everything. You do everything together.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to do together with anybody is my fucking family. I like being alone.
Yeah. The minute Emma turned 13 was when I started giving her space because I reverted back to my days. I told her there's 2 things I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you your own space. I am going to expect you to, do things with me. But most of the time you're going to be you're going to do whatever you want to do. And 2, I don't now, nor will I ever know what it's like to be a teenage girl. So there are certain things you may tell me that will gross me the fuck out, but I'm always going to listen.
Right.
But I want you to be able to have your time because there was a point in my early teens where I was expected to do everything the parents wanted to do. When I started to rebel, they kind of let go a little bit, but at the end of the day, you got to let somebody be who they want to be. And if they go off course, our job as parents is to see around that corner and kind of guide them. You don't want to go to the left. You want to go to the right. You don't want to go to the right. You want to stay on this path. You don't want to stay on this path. You want to turn to the left. At some point, you have to guide them until they're adult human beings. And even after, I'm sure Herm and you, Lynch, and myself can attest, in our mid to late 20s, we got some of that advice that we didn't want to hear. But it helped.
Yeah. Yeah.
A parent doesn't stop being a parent just because you're an adult human being.
Right. And to some point, it's like, just cut the cord. Let them live their own life. You don't have to be there 24/7 for everything you do. It's just, I don't think like that. I would go nuts, and I'd probably be in jail after a couple days. Just go away, leave me alone. Lord Almighty, leave me alone.
Listen to
you. Something blooming out here. My allergies are fucking whacked.
Someone blew you?
Yeah.
Wow. Look at you go.
A 2-foot girl with no teeth.
Ew.
Jeez.
Ew.
You're a sick motherfucker.
$20 is $20.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jesus.
That's you. That's only when you're doing the sucking, though.
True.
That's true.
You're ready.
But to go back to your point, we got to start planning the next couple weeks. It's nice to have these off the cuffs. It's fun. I had fun. Hope you had fun.
I always have fun. I make my fun up as I go along.
No, listen to you.
I have to.
You should see him on Hand Puppet Day, Herm. He makes his own fun.
He makes his own fun.
His favorite is still Lamb Chop.
Right?
This is the stroke that doesn't end. It'll end eventually.
Oy boy.
Happily.
Yeah,
happily,
right.
Hopefully.
Well, while Lynch goes and takes an edible and breaks out the Teletubby dolls, we'll unless anybody's got something else, I guess it's about time to shut down the shop.
Where's all my white socks at?
Oh, dear God. They became butt socks. They're under your bed, and the next tenants of your house will find them.
Like stiff and erect like a fucking dinosaur fossil.
Yep.
Just
whistle. Mom, why is this sock glued to the why is this sock glued to the floor?
For real.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch that sock, Mom.
All right,
I know you used to live here.
We'll come up with something for next Tuesday. Marsh is back next Tuesday. So let's come up with a fun topic in the next 7 days. We'll have some fun.
Nice.
7.
All right. Good night, you crazy bastards.
Good night.
Fuck you.
I know I'm going to hell for this, but do you think Stevie Ray Vaughan was a helicopter parent?
Oh,
Good.
that's fucked up, bro.
Have a good
think-
night.
Last thing he saw was his eyes going through his asshole.
Oh,
Oh.